Hey everyone, welcome to the live today. So, I've got my big podcast microphone that I've actually set up to come through. So, I'm hoping that this will improve the audio quality a little bit. I'm not actually sure if there's much of a difference between this thing and the inbuilt, but I'm assuming there will be because when I do voiceovers using this microphone for my actual video content, I find it's actually quite good. All right, I'm just gonna push this down a little bit because it needs a little bit high up. All right, there we go. Um, so in today's live, I want to talk about how I'm feeling post COVID and also talk about a major winter storm that's expected to pass over us. We're not supposed to get the worst of it, but we are supposed to get a pretty big dumping of snow. And I've mentioned actually in the past that weather can have a big impact on how we feel with migraines. I can tell you I'm feeling it a bit today. Now, I don't know if this fatigue and stuff I've been experiencing is from my migraines because I'm also in the week before my period. If it's from this post COVID fatigue or if it's from this weather system that's coming in. So, I want to get started first with the post COVID update. So, I have a vlog right now that just needs one more section before I'll be able to release it. I'm hoping I will be able to get this done by the end of this week between the time that I can work on it in the morning before I have to go to work and then all of that. So I'm hoping that that can get released by this weekend. And but I'm not sure and I'm not going to make any guarantees because obviously it's too I don't like putting deadlines on my videos anymore because my schedule can be all over the place. I hope that makes sense. So post COVID, all right, so I'm about 2 weeks out from when I first started experiencing symptoms that turned into COVID. Well, it didn't really turn into COVID, it just was detected as COVID a few days after I first started experiencing symptoms. So I guess that's not really the right wording, but hey, hi Eka. Um, so yeah, I usually do these lives in the middle of the afternoon. Not great for North American time zone, but all right for other parts of the world. This is just the time when I feel the best to do these lives and all of that. Okay, so post COVID, I get distracted also really easily, and this happens when I'm filming too, but I can just cut those parts out. But when you're live, you got to deal with it. Anyway, so post COVID, so like I said, I'm about 2 weeks out from first started when I first started experiencing symptoms, which was yesterday, I guess, was the 2 week mark for that. And then before that, or I guess a few days after, found out I tested positive. And so I just want to go over the last little bit that I didn't cover in either live streams or vlogs because it was in the middle of it. So I took about 10 full days to recover from COVID. I was actually back to work at 8 days, but that day 8 when I went to work, I shouldn't have probably been at work. So, I didn't realize actually until I got dressed and ready that morning just how fatigued I actually was. And I did get through my shift, but I struggled with it quite a bit. So, that I think is something that needs to be put out there. The COVID itself was I describe it to people as a mix between a head cold and a sinus infection. Now, getting into my having migraines and having those symptoms obviously is not great, right? So, I tend to find sinus infections and congestion in my face to be a really negative thing with my underlying medical conditions, with migraines, and I haven't had a lot of issues with getting colds having when my IIH was active, so when I was on medication, and I still consider myself in remission because I'm not having any visual symptoms. So I don't really talk much about IIH, but I do bring up migraines because having migraines can make those head colds. And honestly, fatigue hits you harder too because you're already dealing with a certain level of fatigue, right? But then with the added extra fatigue, it can be enough to push you down to the point where you can't function. And I don't think people really realize that what you're pushing through is not the same level that they would be because you do have those underlying conditions. Okay, so that was day 8. Day 9, I was actually off. Day 10, I had to work and I was feeling much, much better. Like, the difference between day 9 and day 10 for me was pretty significant. And then day 10 to day 11, I've pretty much fell back to my baseline. And that was really nice because the fatigue, I honestly talked to people about this fatigue and I said, "This reminds me a lot of when I was on a medication for my IIH, acetazolamide." So, for those of you who are on acetazolamide right now or have ever been on it, you'll know what I'm talking about. This horrible, horrible fatigue. And that fatigue is very similar to what I had after my congestion kind of cleared up with the COVID. My experience with COVID never got to the point where it was I was worried about anything, like having to go to the hospital or anything. It was actually more mild than a cold I had in January 2020 before the pandemic came to be, basically. So, I had a really, really bad cold that year, and if you go back actually in my vlogs, and I talked about and did a video on that, you'll probably find it around January it was the start of January actually, because I got the cold when I was at a funeral for my grandpa. My grandpa just passed away. So that's when you'll find that particular thing. Sorry, my eyes have been twitching really funny, and I wonder if it's not from this incoming storm system. But anyways, I'm gonna get into that storm system in a minute. So post-COVID, I would say the fatigue for me after was one of the worst. I was still actually having issues with night sweats in the first I think it was up until this weekend, I was having trouble with night sweats with Omicron. So Omicron can give you pretty nasty night sweats, and that was definitely a thing I was experiencing and all of that. So, yeah, that wasn't fun. But I never did run a fever, and I never had chills. My muscle aches weren't I didn't really think I had muscle aches, at least not to the point where I've had with other issues. There were some, and I did note that in my live video last time, but it wasn't bad. I would say overall my experience with COVID was quite mild, but again, you're I'm fully vaccinated. I've had my 3rd dose or booster dose, and I think that really did make a huge difference. Okay, so that was the COVID update. So obviously, I'm happy that that didn't result in any extra issues. I know when having underlying medical conditions already, it is scary to get a virus that is known to have potential long-term complications because you don't wanna add into the issues that you had before, and you don't want something getting worse or potentially coming back because you're dealing with those issues, right? So post-COVID, I'm feeling much better now. I'm sorry I haven't been putting out much content lately, but it was really hard just to do anything but watch videos while I was actually dealing with COVID. It was something that if I ever I wanted to do a vlog specifically on COVID because I know COVID, I think, is going to be with us for a while. So if people who have IIH can, find someone who's had COVID and maybe get an idea of what they might be experiencing or what potential issues they might have. That's the only reason why I wanted to vlog it because a lot of my videos actually get found in search later. That one I don't think would because a lot of the videos are going to be suppressed when it comes to COVID because YouTube pushes up videos that are verified basically because they are trying to stop misinformation. Oftentimes, though, it doesn't work, but I'm not going to get into the whole YouTube and COVID talk and all of that. Hi, welcome to the stream. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your first name. Asmali, and thank you for joining and welcome to the stream. I'm sorry if I completely butchered your name. I'm not good with names, so I'll just have to do my best with that. But anyway, so back to the discussion. Okay, so that was kind of COVID. Now I'm 11 minutes in and I still haven't mentioned this weather system. So I'm going to pull up my weather app here. And so the other day, I started paying attention to the weather a bit because I noticed that all of a sudden our accumulations for snow was expected to be pretty high. And also, I follow weather channels or I guess weather streamers in the US, and this one particularly caught my attention. So, right now, we're under a winter storm watch. And this is not anything new for April in Saskatchewan. As I said in my one vlog, if you guys made it to that point in the vlog, when I was out on the trails, you will find that we get snow in April and even into May. Like May long weekend, which is around the 20th to 24th of May. It's like I think it's the third Monday of May that it's determined. It can actually snow that weekend, and yet we can actually usually plant our gardens that weekend. Like, my great-grandma, I guess, had a rule that you didn't plant a garden before May long weekend, or you had potential for losing all of your vegetables that you would transplant. So the ones that you can't grow from seed, you could lose them because of a frost. So end of May, we can still be getting snow or frost type conditions. And so this storm has the potential to be pretty big. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is not because I'm a weather channel. No, I mean I would if I could, but I don't have the background for that. So this winter storm has it seems to be affecting me a little bit. So I think it's still a bit early to be really feeling it, but essentially I get my migraines can get worse, and I've got this weird eye twitch for some reason. This is started yesterday again, and I've had it before, but it's usually when my head's really bad, and my head's okay right now, but I'm definitely feeling some of the initial fatigue that I can often experience in the days before a migraine. So who knows? That could be related, it could be something else. I'm not going to be concerned unless I start getting visual issues with regards to IIH and all of that. But this is something that I did get initially with IIH. So hopefully it's not that. Because that would be bad. I want to stay in remission when it comes to that. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my seating position here. Um, so with this winter storm, if it's a massive, massive system, even if it doesn't really come close to me, it has the potential to affect me. And it's because what happens during a winter storm is the barometric pressure drops, and it's the drops that I'm feeling. And I often tell people this is a bit of my superpower. So you've basically got the potential here for a really bad migraine midweek, and it doesn't help that this is the week before my period. So I didn't actually put that in the title because it makes a lot of people uncomfortable, and it shouldn't, but I am I think I looked today because I was curious to know if my symptoms could be from the weather, it could be from my period, it could whatever. And it's still about 9 or 10 days out, but that week before can be just as painful as a few days before, just in different ways. So, yeah, this winter storm, I think if it is what they're saying it is, and it does happen to come and be what they're saying, I think I could be dealing with quite a bit of pain in the next few days, which is not going to make work fun, but I'm hoping that during the bulk of it that I can rest. I cannot afford after having COVID to miss any more days of work. So if it's not, I'm just hoping it's not that bad because I have to go in. There's no way around it. I have to go in and do my job because I can't miss any more time. I missed a full week not last week, but the week before when I was having symptoms. I missed a full week because of COVID. So, like, the first couple of days, I was struggling with the idea of going in because I was symptomatic with cold symptoms, and I just couldn't live with myself if I gave like, I might not have a problem with this virus, but somebody I could be seeing might have a problem with the virus if they were to catch it. So, I had a really big moral issue with going in even with really, really minor cold symptoms, and the first day, I was actually having severe enough symptoms to go, "Okay, this is not normal." It was just a sore throat that felt like glass, and I was losing my voice. So, I mean, my job has a lot of communication in it, so communicating when you have that bad of a voice and are struggling that much to communicate was not easy, and so that was enough that I'm just like, "Okay, I don't feel bad about this." But then it changed a bit, and it was just a really bad head cold, and obviously, once you get the positive test result that I had, which I actually did a second test on day 6. It was out of curiosity more than anything, but that test turned positive quicker than anything that I've ever done in the past. So that test at that point was it turned positive and well, let's just say the positive line showed up and then I had to wait for the control line to show up on my rapid test. That's how quickly it showed up. So, yeah, that wasn't fun. Okay. I just want to see what else I want to talk about. So, this winter storm system is probably gonna affect me in the ways that essentially a winter storm normally does. So I am kind of thankful that we've had some dry years a little bit in the past few years because it's meant that I haven't had to deal with this type of issues with migraines. So, what do I mean by that? Well, in the days leading up to a storm, you can be dealing with symptoms that are consistent with the days preceding a migraine. And this morning, actually, so not only have I had this weird eye twitch thing that's been really annoying me, and I don't know if that's related, but I'm also got, that fatigue starting. Definitely had some headaches today too, but they're not really anything that I like I've noticed them, but they're not to the point where it's a really big deal. Okay, so I just want to read this. So, a major spring blizzard is poised to wallop southern Manitoba and southeastern Saskatchewan. So, we're kind of on the western edge of this. So, we may miss it and we may not. So, I in our area, like, we could get it, we might not get it. It's hard to know for sure. And I don't know whether we have a good chance. Like, it keeps basically changing. You look at it in the morning and it says something completely different in the afternoon and again in the evening. But it has gone from a major amount of snow to hardly anything, now to a higher moderate kind of level of snow. And even the level of snow that we're getting, which is looking like about 20 centimeters total by the time the system's done by Friday, is quite a bit. Now, when it's cloudy and not so great outside, it's not fun anyways, but when you get these major low pressure systems, it can really affect you. Or at least I find anyways. I'm sorry, I'm a little. Okay, so not only are we supposed to get a lot of snow, but we're supposed to get a lot of wind too, which wind is not really as big of an issue. It's more the barometric pressure changes, and that happens with the actual systems themselves. So it says a Colorado low will move towards Minnesota Tuesday night, bringing a heavy swath of snow from southeastern Saskatchewan through most of southern Manitoba. And I would say now, like of the latest things, so like this was updated earlier today. I would say now pretty much all of southern Manitoba is affected by the system, and it just depends on where it goes on whether we'll get a little bit of snow or enough to like really cause problems. I don't think we're gonna get anywhere between 30 and 50, but 15 to 30 I think is realistic if it stays on and stays the way it is. And so when you get these weather systems, it's I know a lot of people in hurricane areas will talk about how in the days leading up to the hurricane, they're in a lot of pain because of their migraines. And essentially, this is kind of like a hurricane in the fact that it's a big, gigantic system, but it's not the same because a hurricane has a lot more heavier winds, a lot more heavier precipitation, but it's kind of the same idea that you would get with a gigantic low pressure system. And that's essentially what it is a gigantic low pressure system. And whenever you're dealing with low pressure systems, you kind of got to factor in migraine potential there. And yeah, so and it's not just the actual storm system when it's coming in, it's the drop in the barometric pressure leading up to that that I have to be the most concerned about. And I work the next 4 days in a row, so this is something that I also have to consider and all of that. So this is supposed to be by Wednesday morning, heavy snow will be falling in much of the area as the storm continues to push northward, and snow accompanied by strong northerly winds is expected to continue right through until Friday early morning. And so this is like not just a single day event. It's expected to last Wednesday, Thursday, and into Friday. So that's, some serious things there, not just for people living in these areas, but it's potentially for people dealing with medical conditions as well. So that's kind of what I wanted to read off of that, basically. So, how I'm feeling right now is I'm definitely a lot more fatigued than normal, but I don't know if that's from the weather changing. I don't know if that's from my period coming next week, potentially. I don't know if that's from still being only a couple of weeks out from COVID, like, you see there's so many factors that it could be that it's hard to pinpoint one, especially when you got all 3 going on. So, that's essentially what I wanted to talk to you guys today about, and so, yeah, I mean, it's it's been hard lately, I guess, getting out content, and not just because I have to be in the right mood now in order to film, but I prefer honestly doing these live shows, but I have to be in the right mood and have something to talk about with regards to migraines in order to really feel like it's doing much good. Like, yeah, I could just pop on here and just say, "Hi," but I really wanna be able to have something that people can get out of it, basically, and all of that. So, yeah, I think that's honestly it today, guys. I've been going now for about 25 minutes, which is about what I normally do. So, if you are wondering or you want more daily updates, I really haven't been posting much to locals though either. Come join me on locals.com. So, if when you become a supporter there, you get access to supporter only posts, you get access to stuff that I post daily, so it's like a community type style thing on there. You get access to ability to message me, all of that. If you want to come and check that out, you can do so on locals. And if you want to keep up with me more daily, that's a great place to do it. You can also do it on Twitter where you'll see me not only just talk about migraines and IIH, but you'll also see me talk about things like, what's going on in the world, all of that kind of stuff. So if you enjoy that kind of thing and want to see where I'm at with certain issues, then come and join me on there. I hardly ever post to Instagram or Facebook. I'm really sorry. It's just not, I don't know. It's just something about that platform that I'm just not crazy about. I really haven't even been doing much short content lately because I'm just not feeling it. Like, I don't know if I'm burnt out from work or if I just feel like it's just not, the place for my stuff. Like, when it in all honesty, I love this live stuff because you get content out right away. There's no editing involved. I can, as soon as I'm done the live, it gets published to my page. I can download it once it gets processed and share it if I want to my other platforms. But, I haven't even done that yet. And I'm just, I think, needing all of the spare time that I have besides these weekly lives where I can just relax and prepare for my next day, basically. So, if you guys see a break in content, you know, it's it's likely gonna happen. So, yeah. Um, I'm gonna try and get out more content as all of that goes as I deal with, trying to figure out a way to do that. But I think as for short content, I'm just not feeling it right now. So you probably won't be seeing much short content from me. So yeah, I think that's it for this one. That's it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now, and thanks for joining.